In the army, there's something called the most dangerous course of action and the most likely course of action. And I think what the modelers and the forecasters, the academics, some of the media, and sadly the government have done is they've taken what the military call the most dangerous course of action. And because it's on a piece of paper in front of them, and you have a very risk-averse establishment, for understandable reasons, what we have is the most dangerous course of action has become in people's minds, the decision-makers' minds, the most likely course of action. So even now, when Omicron was very likely not that serious, in fact, it could be a blessing in disguise because it could help to give us a community immunity. I know people don't like herd immunity.
A natural vaccine, you might say, Bob.
Yeah, people, even when Omicron was beginning to happen, were saying, it's really scary. And I had the same briefings that you had, and from my local public health saying, well, we can't take anything for granted. And I'm saying, hold on, you can't just lock people down on a whim anymore. We've got to stop doing it. And the really interesting thing, Dan, as soon as this information has become verifiable, it is shot away. The forecasters and the modelers, not only Imperial and the London Tropical Medicine School, who came out with this ridiculous worst case scenario of 6,000 deaths a day, best case or happy case is 3,000, and you say, well, on sort of 250 is a rolling average. But not only that, but Ferguson and Imperial also provided a model that the Swedish then used and said was, quotes, almost hysterical. And Ferguson last summer and Imperial last summer, I'm afraid, claimed, well, Ferguson certainly did, 100,000 cases after the football, when in fact it peaked at about 39,000. And he said a minimum of 100,000 cases. So whenever this modelling has become verifiable, it has simply fallen to pieces. And for me, you're right, this is a national scandal. Because we have spent, 380 billion? Just think of the good that we could have done with that money. We've spent vast sums of money. And as your fascinating and excellent guests have shown, so much of what's happened since with the lockdown and with the sort of very inhuman conditions that many of us struggled, including myself, sadly, many of us struggled with, actually were built on some really questionable science.